the medical examiner's rulings are in this case, is a homicide. I'm not going to go into details and put words in the medical examiner's mouth, but that is something that I've been told I can confirm today. We've received a total of 16 tips, and I say, and that's not very much for this case. And none of those tips have led to anything for us in this case, and we are still desperate for anything that we can get from the public. To date, all live births that have taken place in Palm Beach and Broward counties in the date ranges that we are investigating, which means the ranges that we believe this child was born in, have been checked. Hundreds of babies in both Palm Beach and Broward counties have been checked. No leads, no, I guess you could say, lost babies in that mix. We've even checked outside of the area with children that have been born in Palm Beach and Broward counties that moved elsewhere after birth. No leads. I guess the most important thing here in the way of update here is that this case is a homicide, not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere. And the Parabon's testing that's been done, you guys can read about here in the release that both us and Parabon's have put together. It's full of information, and it really doesn't draw us to any major conclusions. However, it is a further investigative lead for us that we could work with. So I'll ask if anybody has any questions at this time. Maybe take a look at the letter before.
Has the baby been buried?
No, baby will not be buried. It's going to remain at the medical examiner's office.
Yeah, Captain, can you kind of go over, since people at home, I know we're all streaming, can you kind of go over what is in, talking about right here, what kind of testing you did do, what you were hoping to find, what information you were hoping to find, and what information you did get? Okay, so as you can see in the letter that I passed out to everybody, the Parabon's organization, they do a genealogical test called Snapshot. I have the full report here. You guys have got what's of, I guess, importance to the public. I mean, a lot of this report talks about what the child looked like. Well, we know what the child looked like because we have the child, but what the child would grow to look like and so forth. But none of that is really of any importance to this investigation right now. The most important part of the investigation is the genomic ancestry, meaning that this child is listed as basically 50% Central Asian, 50% African. This is the ancestry. It's a very unusual, according to Parabon, a very unusual split, and most often a person with this 50-50 split would be found in areas like Barbados, Trinidad, or Jamaica, or from those areas originally. Where they could go after born there is anybody's guess. But that's the best that they could come up with, and no known relatives in the database. So we're still not, hitting any major leads here. We still need you guys. We still need the public, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Did the medical examiner give a cause of death? Did the medical examiner give a cause of death other than
they ruled a
drowning?
homicide. I don't want to put any words in their mouth as far as what they've arrived at, because I have not seen the full report, just spoke to them, and they've okayed the ruling of homicide is what they would be willing to release today.
Were there bruises or contusions on the baby's body?
No marks. No marks. And the only evidence that we could tell you about is that there is a heel prick in the foot. That information has already gotten out. You know, the umbilical cord had been cut and clipped. Things that would lead us, the medical examiner, to believe this child was born in a hospital or a birthing center, medical facility where they would do, you know, jaundice testing and things after birth like they would normally do. So that much is pretty evident. So some hospital somewhere has evidence of this child being born. We just haven't found it yet.
How frustrating is it to work this case for the past 6 months and not have a lot of tips and not have leads?
Yeah, we're still pushing to, and we're inviting you guys here see if you could help us. You know, I mean, we've got the DNA in the database, and it's gonna be continuously run by Parabon. So I'm confident that someday we'll figure out what happened here. I'm not willing to wait 50 years. I wanna see what we could do now.
What kind of tips are you hoping for that might split this case wide open?
We need the parents. We need to know who the parents are, and we need to know any relatives that we can start talking to. Maybe there's an explanation, albeit a strange one, but maybe there's an explanation. I'd really like to start there.
Does the reward still stand at $10,000, or will that be increased in your effort to get more tips?
That's Sheriff Bradshaw's amount at this point, and I have not spoken to him to ask if he'd increase it, but it's $10,000 at this time.
You say, we know baby June was treated at some point in a hospital that you checked in Palm Beach County, Broward, outside. Have you gone outside the country at all? Have you gone to?
Very difficult to do. We have reached out for the Bahamas in an effort. They have not reported back to us at anything suspicious or any possible leads. Once you leave the country, it's very difficult for us. And so, it's almost be great if we could just get out there and check every baby in the nation. It's just not very easy to do. Hundreds and hundreds of babies. It took countless hours, full-time work.
Can you explain that we did do that in Palm Beach County and in Broward County?
Yeah,
At the very
as I said
beginning?
earlier, we've checked every baby in the date ranges that we suspect this child was born, Palm Beach and Broward. It was a multi-agency response, massive undertaking. Like 700 babies were checked visually, and that included us recruiting from outside agencies because there was a bunch of babies that were born in Broward and moved elsewhere, and then born in Palm Beach and moved to Martin, St. Lucie or whatever immediately after, and we had to check those too. So that's where we stopped, because at this point there's no evidence to suggest where else this child could have come from, north, south. The tides have drawn us to Broward County. Maybe further south would be next, I don't know, but that's where we are at this point.
That was my next question, is we assumed she had floated up from Broward County, or were we thinking maybe she came from further down to Miami or even further down there? Is it speculation?
No, it's not speculation. The Coast Guard, and they did a reverse drift. There's no secret about that for us. And given the weight and the conditions and so forth, depending on how long the child was in the water, and it's very difficult to say exact. This child could have come from anywhere from Boca, onto Pompano, depending on how long the child was in the water. And if we misestimated the amount of time the child was in the water, it could have come from a little further south. But still, we're not in Miami yet. It's just a tough call. I mean, and for us to go down to Miami, that's a huge undertaking. We're looking at like something 400 babies that have to be checked down there alone. And so that may end up being next, but I'm not sure yet.
With the information we have, all we can do is count on our professional partners to assist us with that. And what we know today is that we have the genealogy report that says what the child is, and that the medical examiner's office has ruled it a homicide. So with that information, hopefully you guys can keep this alive for us and get us some more tips, along with that reward. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it, guys, and I really appreciate you guys' help with this, and the public's assistance is very needed.
And any tip helps. I mean, that's what people, can you stress that a little bit more, that they
Any
need to-
information, even if you think it's not that important, or if it's not critical, anything you might have heard, saw, please roll in the tips. We have 2 lines that you can call. We have the Crime Stoppers tip line of 1-800-458-TIPS, or they can call direct 688-4155. That's area code 561-688-4155. That's our direct tip lines to SVU here at the Sheriff's Office.
And just to stress that, people can remain anonymous too. I mean, if there's, there's a woman that was pregnant that had a baby, family members know, friends know that, we can stress that they can remain anonymous. Just come forward and help us bring closure.
How difficult is it to work such a heartbreaking case like this, day in and day out for the past 6 months?
well, we hate seeing this, and we wanna get to the bottom of what happened, and yeah, it's terrible. And we don't have a good explanation for what happened or why it happened.